to Getting Grounded, the open and honest conversation about the transition of parenthood and everything that comes along with it. The joy, the chaos, the fulfillment, the challenge, the identity shifts, the relationship changes. Let's talk about it all. What do you think is the best part about being a parent?
I think it's getting the chance to do it the way you had hoped it would have been done for you when you were a kid. So, I guess in a way, it's kind of like getting to see it through their eyes and live it through their eyes. But it's more than that because you're getting to curate it to be, what would have felt better for you when you were growing up.
And reparent yourself.
Yeah, reparent yourself. Exactly. That's such a good reframe of it.
Watching them learn about the world like through their eyes, kind of like re-experiencing all these little things through them. I think anyone who is a parent kind of knows what I'm talking about, and it's hard to kind of explain, but just watching them get so excited about like the littlest things, or just it kind of reorients you to like what's important.
There's a lot of good parts. It's hard to choose. Being a parent is the hardest fucking thing I've ever done. I can't imagine it getting easier, but with that comes pretty good feeling of accomplishment on a daily basis. And I don't know, molding these brand new little creatures is pretty fascinating, especially when they're a part of you. And I don't know, feels like a blessing. Feels like I feel very honored for the opportunity to even influence something like that. The day in, day out, ups and downs. It's very, very, very hard, and no one knows how to do it, which is a fascinating concept to me. We all do our best, but at the end of the day, no one's parenting is the same. So, it's a wild ride. It's very fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Just the magnitude of the question, like sitting on me, like the best part of being a parent, I think is the quote. Sorry, you know me with the way that I think about things is I take the first thing that comes to mind. And this quote where being a parent is about giving your child both roots and wings. And I feel like and this is a very different perspective from a lot of parents. I have thoroughly enjoyed seeing all of the stages that my kids have gone through and watching in sort of awe about them and these people who they become on both with our guidance and our oversight, but also just who they become on their own.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's magic. It is absolutely magic. And I think it's what keeps me and has always kept me on sort of from derailing is like, even when things are bad, it's like, just the way that they grow and change in every moment. And you can see it and smell it, taste it. Like, it's just amazing. So to me, that's the best part of being a parent is bearing witness. That's what I would say, is bearing witness to it.
Oh, just the love. Watching her grow, just the it draws me into the present. Nothing else matters. There's no time. It's just like present in that love, that exchange of love is so sacred.
I think the looks that you get for various different reasons from them, whether it's you came home from work and they're seeing you for the first time in a few hours, or when they do something that they're clearly proud of and they're like, "Daddy, I did it," or when you're sitting next to them on the couch and they look at you and they're like, "Daddy, can we snuggle?" And you're like, that to me is like, that's what keeps me going, is like the little like moments where, their eyes just become dinner plates and they look at you like, you're their god.
I think the best part for me is kind of figuring out different parts of myself. And maybe that sounds like narcissistic in a way, but I'm kind of reflecting what we were just saying about how you put so much of yourself into motherhood, or like externally become this figure for your kids or your partner or like other moms in your community, but it's also a way to kind of discover things about yourself. Like I was just saying how I didn't expect to feel this like tether in a way where when I leave for a night, it's deep-seated feeling of uncomfortable. I want to be there. I should be there. These kind of innate feelings that have become part of me, but I wouldn't have anticipated that as part of my personality because I am very independent. And I think
Yeah.
we've talked about this, but like Kevin and I at one point saw a version of our lives without kids, like intentionally building a life just the two of us and traveling and having these very rich, you know, communities and social experiences without kids layered in. And now that we have that and chose that path, it's interesting to see like how my personality has developed and his too. I think one of the best parts of motherhood is also seeing your partner become a parent too.
There's so much more surprise and just excitement on a day-to-day basis that is added to what you get to do every day, I think. Because, I mean, obviously our day-to-day changes significantly, but a lot of what we do doesn't change. There's just this like added level of like joyful chaos on top of all of it that you wouldn't have otherwise. And I think that just makes like existing a lot more fun.
That's so sweet. And such a good reframe to like the chaotic moments. I love that.
His little smiles are the best. They're so heartwarming. They're addictive.
They are. It's, I love that. The first smiles are like,
The best. Like when I walk in the room or if I'm talking and he's like, and then he turns around and he looks at me and his face just oh. Yeah, it's addictive. I feel like I'm like always trying to work for a smile.
Probably like just seeing them grow and like just like the excitement and like the joy of like teaching them random things, not random things, but you know, like Sydney's really into like King Kong now because like we had this long conversation about King Kong and it's like, yeah, you don't know who King Kong is, obviously. And then her just like the joy of like seeing them happy, probably just like seeing them light up when you're like either there or just like showing them something or, you know, just telling Sydney like, yeah, we can go camping. Just like, we can do that. It's like, yeah. You want to sleep outside? She's like, sleep outside. Just like the watching her mind be blown on like things that are just not like normal or basic, but yeah, I'd say that seeing them be like just lit up with joy. It's like
That's
incredibly
sweet.
like fulfilling, I'd say.
Everything. I think it makes the good days better. Like they're the best days with them are like the best days of my life. They're more like fulfilling, more happy. It's like the lights are on and the lights were dim before.
Oh.
And so that's, I guess, the best part for me. I mean, every part of it is great. I love, you know, hugging my kids and spending time with them and watching them grow and like seeing a reflection of me and my husband. But for me, it's like the good days are the best days.
Yeah. That's so beautiful.
The bad days are the worst days.
Right. Well, that leads to question 2, which is what do you think is the most challenging part about being a parent?
The most challenging thing is that you are a parent 24/7 and that you can never just like turn it off. I think that's the hardest part. Like if you're sick, you're still a parent. If you lost your job, you're still a parent. If you're feeling stressed, you're still a parent. If your kid is sick, you're still a parent. So for me, that's the hardest part, that it's ongoing. It never ends. And we don't frankly have like we don't have any family in the area. So we don't have any like help consistently.
Right. Yeah. And that's the rest of your life now, which is such a weird thing to think about. It's like,
Yeah.
this is now forever.
I remember when we decided to have kids, it was like, this is an 18-year decision. I remember Anders saying that to me. It's like, no, it's like a decision for the rest of our life.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Like you're forever a parent now.
For me, it's been just the self-reflection around like, how do I want to raise her? And you so quickly get inundated with like the system of this is what's next and this is where she goes and this is what she needs in order for this. And it's just like this system that doesn't agree with me fundamentally, humanly, spiritually. So being able to like really quiet down and just tune into what is actually important for me and what I'm capable of within this system. It's like, yeah, that's been hard. That, yeah,
Yeah.
medically, institutionally, educationally, like all those systems have challenged me.
I think just not getting overly frustrated at things that kids do that they like truly have no control over.
Yeah.
That they're just like not fully developed little, balls of chaos. And there are some things that they do that it's just like, why are you doing this? But trying to remember that that's what they do. They haven't developed. They haven't learned things yet. I think it's very challenging at times remembering that and coming back to like, oh yeah, this is a point of time of this kid, and then they're gonna turn into something else, and then something else, and then something else.
Ugh. Um,
Everything.
everything post like 3 months old. Like, give me newborn stage any day. Like, make sure they're alive. That's so easy now in hindsight.
In hindsight, yeah.
In hindsight, yes. Yeah. Well, you had it different. You had two of them.
Yeah.
I'm just constantly now like, how much therapy do they need as a result of what I just did wrong with them? Especially in like today's social climate, there's everything feels hard. It feels like there's no good answer to anything. It's like, which is the lesser of the two evils? And in any question they ask about why is this happening, or even like what to feed them, right? Like there's choices are really hard in today's age, and constantly worrying about about how you can do the least amount of harm, I think is my biggest challenge. I always feel like I'm forced to choose between two difficult choices. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's tricky. I think that I don't know. I think that it's a combination of, again, just like the climate that we're in with like the world is hard. You turn the news on and like there's no good answer that I can give my kids when they ask me about certain things that they see, or even things that they see at their school, or why, it's just all, I feel like I'm constantly questioning and second guessing what answers I give them to anything. And that always makes me feel like, I don't know, how much therapy are they going to need?
I know. We're not, I mean, I'm not even, my kids aren't even as old as yours to get to that point yet, but even still, it's like in the moment you make a decision and that on how to respond to something,
And then
and
the
then I
second
reflect on it
guessing.
later and I'm like, I don't even know. I don't love how that went, but I don't know how I
I
would
don't
have
know
done
what the
it
better
differently.
alternative would have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It's so tough. Like
Exactly.
shaping a human.
Yeah, that's
What
it.
a
It's like
responsibility.
shaping them right now. Like that, I'm responsible for them not being an asshole someday. Like
Right.
that's so tricky. That feels so heavy,
I
you
know.
know?
I know. Uh,
Well, now that I've gotten more sleep, I feel like nothing is as challenging as being sleep deprived and trying to have like cognitive thoughts. But I would say that, just trusting your gut to know that what you're doing in the moment is the right thing, and that it might not be the milestone or the exact toy you should be using, or some educational piece of information that you should be following, but just doing what you're doing and feeling really good about it because intuitively you know what's best. Just believing in that and not second guessing that, and questioning whether or not there's more that should be done. I feel like just believing in that is kind of something that crosses my mind a lot.
yeah, never goes away, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Ooh. The lack of time and knowledge to know what you're doing. You do your best and it's still never the best. It's like you always second guess what you just did or said to your child, or what you did for them. And it's like, oh, if I did something differently, maybe it would have been better, but like you don't know, could have been worse. So it's just very challenging because there's no like you never succeed really.
Mm.
You just try to do like 1% better every day or in each interaction or each challenge. So like you'll never be the best parent ever. You'll never be the best dad or mom ever, but you have the opportunity to be the best dad you can be or the best mom you can be. Um, so it's a very interesting thing. Like you'll never achieve perfection. That's kind of the beauty of it.
I think, and this is coming from both a parent but also therapist, right?
Mm.
So it's also being able to see them for who they are and not our reflection of them. Not who we were and then through that lens, but rather actually being able to look at them as separate from me and seeing them for who they are. And I think that's a huge challenge. And I think that's work that parents need to do every day, is
Yeah.
seeing their children as separate and independent from them and being their own little people. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like not being so hard on yourself all the time because you're always like trying to like change this and critique that, and like it's easy to beat yourself up when you think you're like not doing it right, but like obviously like you care so much, and then like that's why you're hard on yourself.
It's so hard. We're constantly like overanalyzing ourselves when the
Right,
fact that we
right.
care means we're good parents, but we don't
Right,
feel
you
like good
just
parents because we are like, we have no
being
idea what we're doing. And everybody's telling you that you're doing something wrong these days. It's a lot.
right, and you're just like tortured by like, well, is this the right way to do this, or is this? And Dana calms that down a lot because she's taught me so much.
That's sweet.
But it's definitely, I think it's easy to get wrapped up in like trying to decide if you're like doing it right instead of just like believing in what you're doing. And then you get some boomers who are just like, you should do this, and you're like, definitely not that.
Every
But
time.
okay,
Yeah. My dad's like, just let me tell him how it is. I'm like, well, no, we
yeah,
don't do that
or
anymore.
or not.
I think actually in the same vein, like it tests parts of your personality or like triggers things that you don't anticipate. So I think having Rory as such a great, like strong, very much the firstborn eldest daughter energy, and as someone who is also a firstborn eldest daughter of 3, it is my karma now to deal with that. The flip side, like I truly put my mother through hell, like middle through high school into college. And vice versa. I don't think it was good for either of us. And we have a great relationship now, mostly because we don't live together. But I think the hardest part is like seeing what buttons of yours are pushed so quickly by a child, right? You feel
Right.
ridiculous in the moment because, she was yesterday having trouble getting dressed and out the door. And it's, as you know, been a long week with sickness and being a solo parent with 2 kids. And I was just like at my wit's end, and she's yelling at me like, "You're not my friend." And I find myself yelling back like, "You're not mine either." You. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
That's so amazing and real, and I love it.
Just her biggest insult right now, I'm sure she picked it up from school, is like, "You're not my friend."
I mean,
Which,
that's a
like,
pretty big insult.
yeah, it hurts. And then in the moment, I'm like, "Yeah, you're not mine either. Like, get with the
Right.
program. Let's go."
Yeah, we're not friends right now.
So I think, yeah, like the pushing buttons and trying to like, take a deep breath, be patient up until you're not, but like just the quick reaction. Sometimes like I'm surprised at myself of how quickly I'm triggered by things. And part of that is like, layered on top of your own, like I have a full work day and maybe something tough happened at work, and then you go through a tough evening routine and you're just like at your wit's end in terms of like regulating your own emotions, and then a toddler comes in.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. And the regulating emotions is interesting because like I don't think in many other experiences we like have to really do it that way. It's like if I'm upset, I'm gonna tell someone I'm upset, or if I'm like, or just like go be by myself and just not talk to the person at the moment, but like in those moments you have no choice. You have to like
You have
deal
no
with
choice. Yeah,
whatever.
you are the adult in the equation and
Yeah.
dealing with like an irrational child, baby, someone that does not understand logic or a fruitful conversation at the height of emotions.
Right.
No option to just either have a conversation that makes sense or to like see yourself out and take a breath because like you
Right.
have to be there as the parent.
Yeah, right. They'd be like, where are you going?
First of all, I think there's like absolutely nothing that prepares you, like no proximity to you. You could be around children your entire life, work with children. I don't think there's quite anything that prepares you for the constant onness of being a parent. There's no break. There's no like stepping away. Even if you're not physically with them, you're thinking about them, you're wondering how they're doing. It's just the constantness of it can be so challenging. You wake up, you're like, I don't feel like doing this, but there you are, you have to do it, right? You just have to. And so then I think what leads into that too is like, now that my oldest is has gone through toddler and is into the 3-year-old phase, like the keeping myself together when she's losing it, like keeping myself regulated so that I can, address her dysregulation. And I thought that I'd be so good at that because I can do that in my job. When I work with other kids, like when it's other kids, I'm like, oh, that kid's just having a tough time. Or, oh, maybe I should have prepped this transition better. When it's my kid doing it, it's a reflection of my parenting. She's a sociopath and she's going to grow up to be a serial killer. But you know what I mean? It's like I take it so personally despite being able to take it so professionally in one setting. And so I think the reason for that is because there's no break. You're constantly with them. It's constantly, having to manage moment to moment. Whereas, even someone who works with kids all the time, you get, that hard session of 45 minutes is over and you move on and you're able to have that distance. You're not so personally connected. So I think those kind of go together, like managing my feelings to help my kids and just having to do that over and over and over for like, I don't know, I guess the rest of my life.
The rest of our lives, yes. And also with when it's your own child, to your point, like it spirals into the reflection of like, this is all your responsibility versus the other child. It's like no reflection of you necessarily. Like you can take it that way in your work, but it's outside of you, and the internal part makes it extra hard.
Definitely, there's no breaks.
Mhm.
It's the grandparent situation in reverse where like, any of these individual instances is manageable, but when you put them end to end and you give yourself 2 hours every night to decompress before you have to wake up and do it all over again, that's where it starts to wear you down and the cracks start forming and it's becoming more difficult.
Yeah. And then so that's forever. Like that's
Right,
it.
right.
You make this choice now forever.
And the problems, they may change, but they don't go away.
Right.
They probably get more complicated and more, you go from arguing with a toddler about why they can still eat their, cookie after it's broken in half to arguing about girls and why, he can't be in the room with the door closed,
Right.
and you're like,
Right.
different
Yeah.
problems.
Exactly. It's going to be interesting to see how we all navigate that
Mhm.
one day.
Mhm.
One day. What do you think is the biggest change in or about you since having children?
Well, I don't think I don't know if I can answer because I don't think I've thought about myself since I've had kids. I'm like me, who am I? Do I have self anymore?
True.
I'm like, there is no sense of self. The answer is there is no sense of self.
That's the difference, right?
I think you're not prepared, like not prepared for the ways that your life is going to change for the better or for the worse. It's just such a total shift.
I guess I would say maybe taking a more positive spin versus my previous question. It's allowed me to grow my community and like social connections with people in a really beautiful way. I think some of my closest friends here in DC are because of the connections I've made through our little daycare community or even our neighborhood and folks who have had kids either right before us or around the same time, or even I have a cohort of like a few folks now that are just had their first kids around the times I had Everett or about to have their first kids. So it's been fun to kind of be through that stage again. And I feel like very lucky that being a parent has kind of framed my ability to build community here in a different way. I mean, we've lived in the area for over 10 years now and have had really great social circles and different spheres of life, but the parenthood aspect has kind of allowed us to meet new people that just like you instantly click with them in a different way. And,
Yeah.
you know, the women, especially, like I have this group of this kind of foursome of us that are just like so deeply connected and understand each other on a very intimate, but also just like immediate level, both in terms of parenthood and just our personas and work lives and the way we approach everything in general. But I think being a parent has allowed me to kind of like unlock some of those extra layers of community.
I love that. And that's like really interesting because I think a lot of times you think about all the other relationships you had before and how they change and like kind of a sad way. Like not as it's just they change and they morph and they're different. And even if you both have kids, but you're, you know, it's just different. You had like formed the friendship prior to having children and then after, depending on which stage you're in, it changes. But you're right, there are so many other ones that form in a different way that is an unexpected connection, or just unexplained connection. That's really beautiful. So that's really good.
Yeah.
A good
Yeah.
a good reframe on that.
I don't know. It's so hard. There's a lot of things I want to say, and I just don't know if they're true or not.
Interesting.
Like, I want to say that I've been able to be better about routines. I want to say I'm better about um, time management and, you know, doing things when I have time to do them and not waiting until the last minute. And I don't know whether it's those things because I have no other choice or whether it's because I'm actually better at doing those things.
Mm.
So it's hard to give myself credit for any of that.
I think you still deserve credit. The change and the things that we have to like adapt to, and like maybe it's forced, but we still have to do it, right? It's a
Yeah.
choice. You don't have to. You could still be doing those things not on routine, and then your life would just be in shambles,
Absolute
but you
madness.
could.
Yeah. My grandfather used to say, you can do whatever you want, but actions have consequences, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I guess change. I wake up a lot earlier now.
That's a change. Yeah, right. Same. So much earlier. It's painful.
I am more courageous. I'm no longer just in it for myself. I have a little being to guide and protect and love. And so, yeah, that the boundaries and that just like trusting my instincts has become
Mm.
really clear and undeniable.
Yeah, this like fierceness behind it that you wouldn't have had just for yourself before. I can relate to that.
Yeah, choosing for her is so much different than choosing for me. Although I'm
Mm.
working at it, you know.
Right, exactly.
The perspective shift in life of how all the things that I thought mattered really don't matter, and all the things that I had no idea even could matter even more. Um, so it makes you just think, like, kind of rethink every moment, and you want to be present, but you're like, is this even a moment to be present in? When I could be being present with my kids, like in comparison, like when it used to be like, oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money and be really good at my career and have multiple careers, and that sounds fun, and that sounds like the thing you do. Now it's like, oh man, parenting is the career, and I'd rather be present in those moments versus. But then it's fucking hard because it's like I have to do these moments to be the parent and be present in those moments. So fuck me. Yeah, it's a very interesting perspective shift.
Mm.
I think that I used to be a lot more, in some ways, confident in myself, and now I second guess a lot of my life as far as like as it pertains to the kids, because I don't feel like I have a lot of good options. Um, I feel like I'm always choosing between the lesser of the two evils with them, which makes me second guess myself a lot. So in some ways, I feel a lot less confident as a person. But then there's other things, uh, things about like what I know I want out of life. Like I am absolutely certain of now that I have the kids because I can see how it will affect their future. And when it was just me, it was a little bit, things feel a little more wishy-washy because I'm like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Now I'm like, no, it has to work out because it's their whole life. So I don't know. I guess that I gave a kind of conflicting answer there, but in some ways it has made me infinitely more confident and more sure of myself. And in other ways, it's made me question everything.
I don't know. I was always really focused on my career and advancing that. And that was sort of my top priority. Things have shifted some since I've had kids in terms of what like gets the greatest amount of my focus. At work, I'm very driven. I'm very straightforward and I have high expectations, but my expectations for my children are just really different. It's kind of fun to see a different side of myself. Like we were talking before you put the camera on that my husband gets more overwhelmed, like if the kids are, pushing his buttons. And that's something I expected would bother me as a mom, but it just doesn't really get under my skin that much.
Yeah.
And that is like a different side of myself I was like never in tune with before.
That's awesome. It's so
If
lovely.
it's someone else's kids, by the way, it annoys me. But if it's my own children, it
Yes.
doesn't really get under my
Yes,
skin.
that is 100% true. Even before kids, you're like, man, this kid, and now you're like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
like I babysat and like kids would get under my skin. I was a camp counselor and they got under my skin. And like, do my kids occasionally get under my skin? Yes, but I have the techniques to just change it. Like my son this morning was having absolute meltdown, like absolute screaming, crying. He wanted a different top for his water. And I just walked in the room because my husband had been dealing with him. And I heard this all going down, but I didn't want to intervene. And I just said, hey, let's read a book. And was just like able to rectify the whole situation.
Yeah.
And that's just like a side of myself that I like did not know existed. Because again, at
Wow.
work, I'm just like regimented. I'm to the point.
Yeah.
It's just a different person.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And I think I've said that to you before where like my patience in life for like things I want to happen or like it's not large. Like I'm just like I want this thing, I want to change this thing, I'm going to do it. That's that. Like but my patience with my children is infinite. Like I'm like nothing, it's just we can take all the time we need to have. You can do that thing like and that I too was. I mean, I'm a chill person, so I expected that, but just like the way that it doesn't bother me. I feel you.
I'm not chill, but I relate.
Oh, definitely like worrying about the world. Like when I was just a guy, it's like, whatever. Yeah, like if it all goes to hell, like I'll figure it out. But it's like, well, now you have two children that are like young and like you want the world to be a good place for them. And like, it's not that great right now. So you're very like, well, that hopefully. Even when it comes to like, what are they going to do when they're adults? Like, who knows what that even looks like? I worry about their future, obviously, which I guess is like the short answer to.
Yeah, it weighs really heavy. One of my friends was telling me about like baby names. and they were like choosing between a few. And there was one, and they said, she was like, "Oh, I really like this one, but my mom said like, no, she has to have a resume name." And I'm like, "Does she? Will there even be resumes in 18
Yeah.
years? Like, she probably must be an influencer." So
I mean, aside from getting ready really fast to walk out the door because it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, that's a pretty big difference.
that is a very big difference for you.
um, I mean, the construct of my day and my entire existence is not about what does Sam have to do, but it's about what do I have to do to make sure that Asher is happy and has what he needs. Whether it's, the timing of my day or like getting ready for a certain activity or taking a call as I drive to make sure that he gets to the music class across town. Whatever it is, I will sacrifice what I'm doing just because it's not all about me anymore. I feel like that's the biggest difference. It's my brain is thinking, what does Asher need first? And then everything else comes second.
Yeah.
Which is a big shift, right?
Right. One that you, no matter how many words you put behind, doesn't land until it happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain, especially when your dog is your baby.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden your poor baby has to take a backseat to the human baby.
I think I'm a lot more comfortable with planning things.
Okay.
Maybe have become more of a like routine planner person. I don't think I was quite so much before, and now it's like, all right, let's figure out our activities. Still like to go with the flow, but I think I've become a little more. I don't want to say organized because I'm sure my wife, if she's listening upstairs, would be laughing at that. But more comfortable with like establishing routines of some sort.
The first thing that came to mind was the experience of giving birth and the empowerment of that, and giving birth, in water at home, on my terms, which was not anyone else's terms.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was sort of the most amazing thing. So I don't think we know ourselves sometimes until we become parents, and sort of then both good, bad, and indifferent see ourselves through our children. But it did for me. I didn't realize how much strength and power I had until I brought these children into the world.
Wow.
And both in very different ways. But I feel like it has allowed me to see I can be a much more powerful and impactful person and parent than I could have ever imagined.
That's a cool answer, and definitely an uplifting one. I feel like everybody else is like, well, now I'm totally selfless now. I don't know, it's like I don't know how to live. The things for myself are gone, because we're so fresh and
because
new.
you're fresh in it, and I now am looking back in retrospect.
I love that. Last question is, if there was one piece of advice that you would give yourself, could be past self, future self, or another parent, what would it be?
I always wanted to know as a kid, and I feel like growing up it was like, I'm your because I said so, and I feel like give the long explanation. They just want to know, and it might not seem like that, but the more you explain, the more they get it.
Yeah, they understand way more than we think. You are not the first person that I've had this particular conversation with in this episode. Like that, because I said so, and I over explain everything to my children. I'm like, maybe they're not getting it, but I believe that they are.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. If you just explain it, they're more willing to participate and listen and follow what's going on than if you're because I told you so.
Not that it's a piece of advice, but I just sort of go back to my journey with infertility, and I wish I could have had a crystal ball where someone said that it was all going to work out. That is something I wish someone could have said to me, but I actually knew it was going to be true at the time.
Yeah.
Trying to think about advice as it relates to parenting. I sort of hate when people give advice because I think every kid is different. My 2 kids have been raised by the same parents in the same household, and they could not be more different personality from day one. just don't know that all parenting applies. I don't
But I
know.
feel like that's your piece of advice. Like,
Yeah, like I guess you
no,
need to trust your intuition about what's going to work with your kid.
yeah, yeah. And that all their kids are going to be so different, and it's not necessarily a reflection on anything that you've done. It's just them as little people.
Yeah, I think people's parenting very much impacts their children, but I think it's like 50-50, right?
Yeah.
Like kids are, it's nature versus nurture. And to me, it's
Mhm.
half and half. So half is what you've put into it, and the other half is just what they were destined to be like, right?
Totally.
So maybe, sure, my piece of advice can be that you need to trust like your intuition
Mhm.
as a parent and what feels right to you. And every kid is different. And what works for one kid is not going to work for another kid, you
Right.
know?
Right.
I do think people give up like too easily on a lot of things. Like you see someone will say, "Oh, I can't do this with my kid for X, Y, and Z," and I want to be like, just try again, try a different way,
Right.
And I think we can shape people probably more than we expect that we can.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I think to your point about it being 50-50, like I feel you. I have twins. They couldn't be more different. They were different from the minute
Yep.
they came out, and then the way that they shaped is just it's fascinating. And I have that video that I sent you guys yesterday. I like sent it to my family too, and they were like, clearly you're modeling so much love in your house because they just like are
Yep.
loving each other, right? Like there are parts of them that we have shaped because of who we are, and then there are parts of them that I'm like, this is just you, and I love it about you. I love
Yeah.
everything about your uniqueness that I have no control over.
Well, I think first it's not a piece of advice, but it's more of like the awakening that is about to enter your life before you become a parent is you can't even fathom what that experience is like. So you see friends and family and people go through that evolution of becoming, and when you're actually in it, it is a wild ride. And I think more than anything, like my advice is just surrender to that journey and to that process, because I think it's easy to judge or get even maybe anxious about how things are going to be. But you really truly do not know until you're in it. And then just surrender to what that is, because it's actually so much more special than you can anticipate. Even when it's hard, it's good hard.
That's a really good one too, because the sooner you accept that things are not going to be the way they were, the easier it becomes, and the sooner you can lean into this part of
Yes.
your life.
Yes.
That's good.
And I think the other piece of very practical advice is don't feel like you need to master anything in the first week, the first month, the first 2 months, because by the time you master that thing, you don't need it anymore. So like just lay off on the pressure.
Yeah.
I would say don't try your best not to overthink each moment, because your child chose you,
Mm.
and you chose them in a very deeper, spiritual way. So no matter what you do, you chose each other, and no matter what, you have each other. So again, you're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. And if you were perfect, it would be boring. It would be horrible. So
Unless you're me or my children, which
unless you're my beautiful wife who's perfect and my children who are fucking perfect,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to keep up. Yeah.
I think that response you just gave about what other parents had said, and then being a therapist and being a couples therapist and parent coach, I think the thing is we do tend to lose ourselves. We do tend to put every ounce of energy into these little beings who likely don't require all of that energy. And I think we need to take little spoonfuls of that and recycle it back into ourselves, because it will not only benefit us, of course, it will benefit your children, because they will learn how to take care of themselves instead of being completely, quote, selfless, which isn't actually quite real. But there's all kinds of stuff there. But they'll learn how to take care of themselves and their children by seeing that we are more balanced in that. So I feel like that's an important thing to learn. So I would love to say, hey, when you're doing this amazing work of raising children, remember you are the person who created them, or potentially you too are the people who created these kids or kid. And if you don't recycle some of that energy back into yourself, it won't be a great sum at the end.
I think just be more present. I think that's more advice for myself now
Yeah.
than past or future self, but also for past and future self.
Yeah. That's
That
perfect.
there's nothing coming up that's not worth being present.
Okay, a funny one. Appreciate the days that you just rot on the couch all day and watch TV because that's over. You're never gonna get that again. You know what I mean? There's no guilt-free couch rotting ever again.
Be easy on yourself, and you can always course correct or change your mind. And the most important piece is your presence. So, yeah, just be easy, be present.
I would say one of them would be you and your partner are on the same team.
That's a good one.
So it's really easy to get onesie twosies with each other and be like, well, I changed the diaper last time, you change it this time. And just like most things, that tit for tat isn't helpful for anybody. And, it takes time, but once you figure out that you're both working together and you can figure out what split of responsibilities loosely that makes both people happy, and that you're not changing this diaper in exchange for a diaper later on. You're changing this diaper for her because you know that she's had a long day, because she had to be up all night breastfeeding and doing all this stuff, and you're doing this for her, not in exchange for a future I don't have to get up and change the diaper. I think that was a big mental shift for a while. And then the other one, it's kind of a hard one, right? But I know Amanda struggled with this a lot. And it's like, social media makes it really easy you see all those people that are like, we never do screens and we never do this and we're always playing and that we'll never say no and we'll never use this in front of our children or whatever. And, I think those are all good goals and everything, but it can if you set your what is good to be like this answer that's like unachievable, you'll always be disappointing yourself. And if you are constantly disappointed in yourself and upset with the job that you think you're doing, you are not going to be the best parent that you can be. And so allowing yourself some grace and allowing you to put on Paw Patrol for 30 minutes, get your shit done or go sit on your bed and relax for 5 seconds. You're allowed to be a human. You're allowed to have that. Make them chicken nuggets every once in a while for dinner. It's all going to be okay, and they're going to turn out just fine, and you're doing a better job than you might be telling yourself that you are.
Kids are so resilient. Everything is going to feel, every day has moments that feel really hard and that you feel like you're damaging them or causing them, some long-term future, childhood trauma. But they're so resilient, and I think just talking to your kids can solve almost anything. The amount of times that I remember as a kid being told no because I said so, I feel like I don't know, I just can't imagine saying that to my child now. Everything I do, it comes with an explanation. and they're so willing to accept even the hardest news. Like we've had to tell them a lot of really hard things, and they're willing to accept it, and they are able to bounce back pretty quickly from it, as long as there's an explanation to them so that they can like wrap their head around why. Like they're always trying to work out why things are the way they are. And if you can contribute to helping them get to that conclusion and get to like the right conclusion, I think that just changes everything. And I'm like just now realizing that. I wish I had known it 2 years ago with my first child. I think it would have helped ease a lot of conflict, and just cause like less inner turmoil for him if I knew to just give him more explanations and like not worry so much about the choice that I was making. So I feel like I spend a lot of time being really anxious about like, is this the right choice or is this the right choice? And really it doesn't matter. So no choice is the perfect choice, especially right now. But just like focusing more on the why of the choice, go either way, but then explain to him why that's the way you went.
Yeah. Yeah. I find myself doing that a lot and wondering, like, I think some people probably think I'm crazy, especially
Yeah, explaining to
older generations.
3-year-olds.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you telling your 2 and 3-year-olds like this long-winded explanation? But I'm like, no, A, they're brilliant, and B, like
Yes,
they are this just it makes even though it takes a lot longer,
it
like
does.
dealing with them running away in dangerous
Hmm.
situations. I'm like, it sucks that I had to be in that dangerous situation and like sit in the car and cry because it was so scary. But that I took that like I couldn't control that happened.
Right.
And then, but I fixed
Use
it and then
that.
sit in the car to like, and every single time to be like, this is what could happen if that went wrong.
Yep.
This is why you have to do this
It's
thing.
not just because I told you so.
Right. Like there are consequences, there are ramifications, actually, I'll never forget when we were in Asheville and Michael was like, because our kids were so little, we weren't
They
giving
were
any of this
what,
yet.
1?
Yeah, like 1.5.
Yeah.
And so we weren't doing any of this, but obviously you had older kids, so you were doing a lot
Right.
of this. And Michael like heard one of the things you said was like, I love that. I want to like keep it. And it was like you did something, like it was very minor, whatever it
I'm
was.
sure
And
he
you
yelled
like
at them or something.
no. You didn't yell at them. No, you
Okay,
like
good.
took something away, or you did, or you were like, we can't do this because, or if we do this, whatever. And you were like, remember, there has to be consequences because it helps our brain
Brains
learn that
learn.
we
Yeah.
not to do that. It like makes it, and Michael was like, I love that. It's like the way of the explanation, like
Yeah.
but giving the
As
explanation.
opposed to just like you did something wrong, so now you have to have a consequence.
Exactly. So
Like,
we're
which
just
is what
taking
I
that.
think we were so used to. Like that's what was given to
Yeah.
us. Like you
Yeah.
messed up, so now you lose candy.
Right. And it's hard too to sit in because we're kind of doing that. Like they'll hit each other or they'll do something or
Yes.
they'll run or they'll do the thing I don't want them to do.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, then you can't have
Then you
that
lose access
something
to it. Yeah.
totally unrelated. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense and also just makes them sad, but I
Yeah.
don't really know what else to do. Like it's yeah.
It
Yeah.
is very tricky. The way that I keep explaining it to Wells is like for sure old enough to take it now. Is really like it's the same way that I feel like we're trying to learn for ourselves, like with, like instant dopamine hits and stuff. Like
Mm,
we have to signal to our brains, even if it doesn't seem related, right? Even if like you did something, I don't know, you hit Remy and now you don't get screen time for 2 days. Like screen time has nothing in theory to do with hitting Remy, but we have to like train our brains into what we want long-term behavior to look like. And so if you hit Remy and I don't do anything that makes your brain feel really sad about it, then you're not like, it doesn't matter. Me telling you no wasn't enough. I told you no the last 3 times and you kept doing it. So what's something really important that we can take away to make your brain like feel really sad, so that next time when you get screens, now that you're getting like that dopamine back, you're kind of, it's in the back of your head. I lost this for a long time and I don't want to lose this again because like I really like the way it feels. So I'm not going to do that thing that, caused me to lose it.
right. Yeah, like we still have to give consequences like our parents did, but in the ways, I don't know, it's tough. You don't know what feels right.
You know?
But
Also,
yeah,
half the
I love
time,
it.
like all that sounds great, but I'm like in the
Oh,
middle of it.
totally.
You're like, shut the fuck up, stop! Like you see what I'm doing, like grab him away, and that
I know. Yeah, I've like grabbed things away and I'm like, you're so little, you don't even know why I'm doing this. Like this is
it's all impossible. I'm constantly just like, oh, just give me the newborn stage back. It was so much easier. This is hard.
Yeah,
This is
I know
really
that's
hard.
hard too, though, especially the first time. The second
Yes.
time is
Well,
probably great, but I wouldn't know.
yeah, you had a whole different
I
experience.
wouldn't know what the second time looks like.
Just like the idea of not having to worry about the mind and personality that you're shaping is such a like less pressure.
No, it really is.
But we're gonna
Really
make them
is.
great little humans. They're
Yes,
gonna
we
change the
are.
earth.
Yes, they are. They already are.
I would say that everything comes in increments. I think as a type A planner, routine person, I was very intimidated at first by parenthood, like both from the front end in terms of fertility and getting pregnant and staying pregnant. You just kind of hear horror stories at every step of the way. And that's not to diminish anyone's lived experience. And I've been through some tough points in the journey to get pregnant or stay pregnant myself, but I also think it's a really amazing time and a really cool time to be in that stage of life and understand what that looks like for you and your partner, but then also becoming a parent. Like people, we were just talking about like, oh, 3 is so hard, or this stage is so hard, or the people who are like, oh, you just wait, or this
Right.
is right around the corner. And I think people find this weird, I don't know, satisfaction or camaraderie and kind of basking in the negativity sometimes. But, and I certainly am guilty of that myself too, more in terms of just solidarity when you're in a tough phase and
Totally.
other parents who understand that. But I think my biggest piece of advice would be that it's not all bad. I don't know if that makes sense, but you see a lot of alarmist, once Instagram knows you're pregnant or have kids, I feel like your algorithm is just like some really dark examples of babies and parenthood and all sorts of weird things people need to post and have a reaction to. But I think it's also an incredible part of your life. And that's not to say it's easy in any sense, but it's not all the hardest, worst, scariest, most terrible. And as someone who finds themselves like, Googling in the middle of the night and definitely medical anxiety, hypochondria, and all of the things, I think it's easy to digest a multitude of information that's out there that can steer you down some pathways of only imagining the tough parts or the hardest parts. But it becomes part of your life, right? Like anything, like a job, like a partner, like there's good and bad, but you can choose to see the best parts of it and to be in control of what you can be. And for someone who is very control oriented and wants to make sure things, go according to plan, I think there's also a beauty in that in terms of becoming a parent. What would you say? I'm curious your answer.
That's a really good point because I've asked this now to like a handful of people, but I haven't necessarily thought about all of it. Advice wise,
And you're obviously unique because you have twins right off the bat. So I feel like that's different than a singleton or someone who grows their family one at a time.
Totally. And it's also, I don't know that I can answer this completely unbiased because I have heard a lot of answers now.
It's okay, you can pick the highlights.
Yeah, right. But I do think it's similar. It's like what you first said, it comes in increments. Like I think a lot of it's not that it's anxious thoughts, but it's a lot of like trying to anticipate, like you're like, oh, this big transition's coming, and like because you want to keep them safe, or you want to, and you want to like over prepare for it, as if it's gonna. And then most of the time, it's either not a big deal or it was a really big deal in the moment, but you forget about it. So like nothing is as big of a deal as you think it's going to be. And at least no matter how hard the day was, like every night I go to bed and I like run the highlight reel, like all the good stuff is what comes up. And so I think like, to your point, it's so beautiful and lucky and fortunate, and most all the time I lean into that, and I'm exhausted and depleted, and it's one of those times where like it's truly two things exist at once for the rest of your life now. And so like I would settle into the comfort of that as soon as you possibly can, because that makes everything easier. Like I remember when my kids were first born and you and I had like very recently become friends, and you were one of my like all my other friends in the area were newer friends that just had kids, and you were a stage ahead of me, and you want to grip on to your old life for so long as much as you can. So I was like wanting to hang out with you and wanting to go to the group things and just like bring our kids places and be like, when are we going to meet out at a place, and like just live a normal life. And it was like that's not going to happen. That's also not what she's doing because she's accepted that her life is different now because she's a year ahead of you, you know? And I think like
Yeah.
the sooner you settle into that and just like accept the new normal and how great it is, it just, you can lean into that side and it makes it a lot easier. Hi, friends. Welcome to the first episode of Getting Grounded. There's a very good chance that everyone listening already knows all of this, but in the event that you don't, my name is Sam. I am a mom to twin toddlers and a Westie, Winston, who will forever be our first baby and is currently laying on my lap like he is for almost every one of these episodes I record. I was thrown into parenting with the experience of trial by fire with having two babies at once with not a lot of help. So that has prepared me to handle almost anything, I would say. But also another part of my story is that I lost my brother in my mid-20s. And that experience has given me this lens and fear of in parenting of losing something close to me again, this worry, and especially the things that I love more than anything in a way that's truly indescribable, like your heart is now permanently walking on the outside of your body. And while that is, does shape things for me and is a part of my story, I think that majority of us parents have these intrusive thoughts, these fears, and these worries around fiercely protecting our children and this pressure of caring for them in the best way we possibly can and shaping who they're becoming. And then we're managing all of that while somehow maintaining a sense of self and having a working marriage and maintaining close friendships and managing your career and figuring out this evolving, shifting identity as your family grows and changes. It's a lot. It's too much. It's too much. But it's also the reality of the time that we're living in. And what I hate about social media, among many, many things, is that even the post with the best of intentions can have you walking away feeling like you're doing something wrong as a parent or you're missing something crucial in your kid's development. And the point of this podcast is to not at all make you feel that way. I started this show for a million reasons, but my hope is that it's a space to feel seen, heard, validated, and supported in some way. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I love you. You're doing a great job, I promise. And I'll see you in the next one.